Okay, welcome to True Health Tuesdays. Tonight we're talking about our cruise coming up, and also too about the information that we're going to be talking about on there. Now, what's fun about this, we did a cruise last year, February. We're going to do one, we're going to try and do it every February, but this one here is going to be a blast. We're doing the Western Caribbean, and we start off in Fort Lauderdale. Now, what's neat about cruises, if you've never been on them, there's some days where you're just at sea. And so we're going to be teaching just about 4 hours when we're at sea, when we're traveling. So we'll be teaching 4 hours on Monday, 4 hours on Saturday, and a couple hours in between. But also, we're going to be connecting. We're going to be hanging out on the boat. We're going to hang out in Cozumel, and then we're going to go to Grand Cayman, Jamaica, Haiti. And so you're literally going to travel the world. But now why should you do something like this? Okay, when you look at it, this is what we did last year. I mean, there were about 35 people that attended. And it's just fun. And I know it seems weird to think that, you know, when you talk about health, and you're talking about the physical, chemical, and emotional stressors, the three stressors, do we have to eat correctly?
Yes.
Yeah. Do we have to have a healthy nervous system? Absolutely. This is part of health. Okay, and it's just fun. And we're not stuck on the big, beautiful boat. There's all sorts of little excursions. And what we're going to talk about, how the body literally works. And I mean, what a spleen does. Where's the thymus gland? Okay, we're going to talk about where disease begins. We're going to talk about the latest happenings in healthcare and in disease reversal, and literally how the system is radically changing and what you can do about it to not just protect you and your family, but also to reverse disease. Now, last year this was suggested, but we didn't set aside time for it. Now, for consultations, and this is because for people that can't come to our office, we do online consultations from people literally from around the world. And they cost about $1,000, and we go over their x-rays, their lab tests, everything else, spend about an hour with them, and we go over a plan to get them healthy. Well, what we're going to do with this cruise is the first 20 people that sign up, we're going to set aside consultation time. So anyone that's signing up for the cruise, you could bring your lab test, your x-ray analysis, everything, and we'll go over with the actual concrete plan. The only difference is you're not going to be in your living room. We're going to be on the Caribbean, sailing over the ocean on a balcony, talking about how to get your health back. I don't know, I'm thinking it's kind of cool. So And we're going to do this for the first 20 people that sign up. Now, one of the things that we did last year, and I recommend it, we start in Fort Lauderdale, show up a day early. And I don't know if you guys have ever driven, one of the grass boats or the airboats that go through. I never have. I've always wanted to. I can't do it in Huntington Beach because we don't have, an Everglades. But I didn't know that there's snorkeling, in Fort Lauderdale. I thought it was just like a Miami Beach place. So show up a day early. Now, the next one, we're going to Mayan ruins. Now, have you ever been to Tulum, which is one of the Mayan ruins next to Cozumel? Have you? No. Okay. It's amazing. About 20 years, I went to Chichen Itza, and I also went to Tulum. And it's right on the ocean, and it is amazing to see these artifacts and structures. And that blew me away is air conditioning and sewers, running water. I know, 1,000 years ago, they had this stuff. I mean, the technology is out of this world. But they also have, of course, shops, food, everything. And so we're going to be on the boat, learning, playing on the boat, and then these excursions are going to just be incredible. The next one at Grand Cayman Islands. Now, I've been scared by stingrays before because I'm a diver, but the fact that they have this, what's called a stingray park. And for years, this little shallow area, the fishermen have been cutting up fish and throwing the guts in there, and stingrays started to congregate in this area, so it's like a park. And the fishermen have always fed them now, and so you can go up and they're virtually tame. And this is Grand Cayman. If you do a lot of diving, everyone's heard about this place. But I didn't know they had a sea turtle park too. So this is just going to be a blast. Jamaica. Now we're going to go to Falmouth, Jamaica, which is one of the major ports, okay, in the 18th century. And this is, and I'm looking for artifacts. Last year, we went to St. Thomas and St. Martin, and when you're a history buff and you're looking at a curio shop and they have coins that were pulled out of the ocean right next to you from a pirate ship or from a Spanish galleon, okay, from the 1700s.
Wow.
Cool? Anyone? Okay, I'm glad it's not just me that thinks it's totally cool. But to explore here, and they've got rivers in Jamaica, kayak tours. So you're going to be learning how the body works, how the mind works, and about your future, but exploring these places. Then we're going to Hispaniola. I know the name. Okay, Haiti, I wasn't sure about where this was, but this is one of the neatest places on the planet. Now they've got a zip line that looks nearly a quarter-mile long. I mean, this is incredible. And this is going to be one of the last stops, okay, on one of our last days before we hit the sea, but you're talking jet skis, everything. Now, we've got a nice line of speakers coming. Jaya. Now, this is going to be, if you've never heard of a sexologist, we come from puritanical background. Okay, I mean, you got to figure that America was founded by the Puritans, and so we have a lot of trouble expressing our sexuality, and some people even expressing our feelings. Okay, how we feel, how we're comfortable with each other or with ourselves. Well, I gave a talk this weekend at one of Jaya's seminars, and it's amazing. It's not when you talk about connection with people and the barriers that we put up, she has methods and ways to break those barriers down. And she's going to be speaking for a couple of hours. And not only, because typically when you're in an environment where you're learning at a seminar, at the end of the seminar, you're pretty much done. This one here, all the speakers are going to be available. I mean, not just a little available. I mean, we're going to have dinner together. We can go on excursions together. You're going to have a chance to really connect. And honestly, Cuban cigars and brandy on the deck outside of the boat. We'll have to do a lot of carrot juice to make up for the antioxidant damage that we're going to do. But, it's not that bad. I mean, if you smoke Cuban cigars for breakfast, it's not that bad, not that good. But I mean, she's developed, okay, ignite your passion, and she's working on celebrities, Olympic athletes all around the world, and teaching them how to connect with each other. Now, Alessandra Priscilla, this man is the embodiment of love. Okay, he's been my friend. I've worked with him. He's a patient here at the clinic. Him, his son, his wife, they're nothing but love. And thank God, because they do work in clinics where they're removing mercury from the mouth. They're doing, literally holistic care where people from around the world come to him and they detox their body. They reverse disease. And he is just a soft-spoken gentleman. Kind of like the opposite of me, okay, where I'm a little bit rude and uncouth. He's class. Am I right? Yeah. He's in, and what's neat is when you talk to him, his heart is bigger than his body, and he's just brilliant. And when you ask him, he's got such a knowledge base because he's been in the holistic healing profession for over 20 years and literally cutting edge. One of the people that work with him is the developer of the dark field microscopy. And so these guys can identify the different pathogens in their body. I haven't spoke to see if they're going to bring a dark field microscopy with them when they're speaking, but that would be cool. Hopefully we can get it. If not, He's going to at least be able to tell you how it works, what diagnostic procedures are there, and literally the cutting edge stuff that's not available in America. But, you know, luckily on this cruise, we're going to have patients from around the world. So some of the therapy is going to suggest may be available in their countries. Now, this fellow, Dr. Tong TongMcPhee, okay, I've got a doctorate and a number of licenses. He's got 2 doctorates. No, I don't have Dr. Envy. Sorry, just kidding. But what's neat is, okay, now let's say that we concentrate, because we're talking about the 3 stressors, physical, chemical, and emotional stressors. If you handle those correctly, and you handle tissue regeneration correctly, you're going to have a longer life. Now, is everyone in here confident that America is financially strong and the government is making great decisions, so we have absolutely no worries about the future? There's not one hand up. Okay, good. You're absolutely correct. Now, what's interesting, he's going to talk about a unique method of financial health, okay, how to utilize your money, your gifts from God, okay, how to have them work for you. So not just wealth and abundance, because some people will talk about wealth like, oh cool, I got $1, I can now go get a candy bar, okay? But wealth is really freedom and choices. And he's going to show you a completely unique method, and that's legal, that helps with you know, any tax burden. And also too, we're going to talk about a new health insurance out there, because if you don't want to sign up for Obamacare, it's about a $2,000 to $4,000 fine. How would you like to get away from Obamacare for $49 a month? That means you don't need to pay into a system that's dysfunctional, and you get away from paying a massive fine. Would that be worth the trip for a cruise? Yeah, it would pay for the cruise on the first thing. So we're going to show you how to cover Obamacare, or your requirement to have it, because we're all forced into the system, for $49 a month. Cool? But financial health, what I like is, when I've talked with Dr. Tom, we talk about wealth and wealth management, not from a dollar and cent perspective, but in time. You know, if you're making a lot of money but you don't have time to spend with your family, your loved ones, your sweetheart, or if you don't have time to do the things that you're passionate about, if you don't have time to explore what drives you. I mean, for me, going on, there's a mission trip where we want to go to India next November, and I don't know if I can do it, but with his methods, I may be able to afford to go to bring chiropractic care to an entirely different continent. I mean, and for me, that's what wealth is. Being able to share gifts and knowledge and connect with people. I think that's fantastic. But he's going to be going over that. Now, when we're looking at how the brain works, everyone here has heard of equine therapy. Okay, well, if you haven't, imagine if you have kids that are mentally and emotionally challenged, or even adults that are mentally and emotionally challenged. What they do is they put them around horses and they have them ride, and it's a totally different sensory experience for these people. And it actually gets them out of thinking about their aches, pains, or disabilities. And they start to come alive. They start to realize that something is completely unique. And we just had a gal from Boston come in, and she's quadriplegic, feeding tube, and she's had some brain injuries. But what's neat is the entire sensory experience of coming here and getting her nervous system checked. In just the first day that she's been here, we're starting to see massive changes. Okay, and it's like almost too good to be true. But the way the body is, we have emotions based on experiences and your perception of those experiences. Like, you've heard me use the analogy all the time. If you smell baked bread and you're thinking of baked bread and you think of grandma and everything else, your brain is going to secrete these chemicals, which are emotions, based on that experience. However, if she dropped a burning pot of, hot leavened dough on your foot, you would smell baked bread and you'd get anxiety and a whole different set of chemicals. Or if you were helping our Helms Bakery truck, was I the only one by Helms? Okay, you were too? Okay, good. I love the Helms Bakery trucks. I think there's only 3 people here that remember them. Okay, so when you look at it, the chemicals that you're going to be experiencing or the emotions that you're going to be experiencing when you invest in yourself, when you go on a trip like this, not only do you learn, but it's part of your life. And I rarely talk about the essential aspects of spending time on yourself and doing things that you love. Because I always talk about health, I talk about what to do to regenerate cells, where pathology comes from, and the dumb stuff that we think of today. But if you schedule and plan and prioritize your fun time, your play time, your life is more enriched. And one of the things that I say, now imagine saying this to a 65-year-old contractor who's built like a tank, laying down, and I'm adjusted a Monday morning, okay, and I say, well, did you get a chance to play this weekend? Play? What do you mean, play? And well, dude, don't you play on the weekends? I mean, didn't you, you could just be sitting home watching football if that's what you like. But did you go out and ride a bike, or did you do something? Well, I went to the movies. That's playing? You can play going to the movies, it's okay. But you've got to schedule it. And that's what I like about these trips. When you get on these trips and you're going in a totally different sensory environment. So it's similar to that equine therapy, but you get on there. If you've never seen the deep blue of the ocean, okay, if you've never been away from land, if you've never, been walking on the deck and had no responsibilities other than looking at the ocean, I mean, that's beautiful. And then we're going to have notes and everything if you want to study. If not, you get back in your room and see how the boat was built, which, honest to goodness, if you've ever seen Solaris, this is one of the finest boats in the fleet. Now, when we look at this pattern, a lot of people are stuck in a consistent chemical assault on their brain. Where, does anyone in here know people that are wealthy, good-looking, healthy, and they've mastered their emotions to such a state where they're friggin' miserable? Yes? We all do. And I'm going, are you kidding me? I've got an 88-year-old patient who had her leg cut off in a traffic accident in 1979. She comes in here beaming. Yes? Every time. Beaming. She makes my heart leap out of my chest, happiness. Okay, now she has mastered her situation to express joy and find joy. Other people have mastered their situation to express anxiety and depression. One of the neat things with going on these cruises is you're able to change your environment, you change that stimulus, you change that chemical assault on your brain, body, and everything else. And then it changes the not just the chemical makeup, but also your cell structure and cell function. Now, I love this one. I use her face. When you look at does anyone find her attractive, or is it just me? Can you see the joy in her? I mean, I want to invite her in. I want to give her a home-baked cookie and some tea. It's just, you're right there, and it's just what she embodies for me is love and comfort and joy, and all of those experiences. This is from one picture, and you could put odd, ecstatic, tranquil, open. I mean, all of those emotions, they'll all have a similar feeling. Okay, but technically, is she technically pretty? Would you see her on Vogue? Okay, now this gal, I know, men in here, say it with me. Ah! Okay. Yes? Okay. Technically pretty. But oh my gosh. Not only would you not want to invite her for a cookie, it's like, please, check. Let me get out of here. And when you look at it, the depression, the anxiety, the frustration, I mean, she's embodying this. But then again, what is the chemical assault that her body is going through looking at these, traumas? Does that make sense? And we're looking at two patients here with reverse curves. And we're looking at a 34-year-old woman and a 70-year-old woman. And all you can see is more degeneration. But imagine having depression and anxiety for 20 or 30 years. And it's completely an assault or the way the brain is wired. And now, I mean, we're going to be wiring brains by giving different experiences on the cruise. That's absolute. But you can rewire the brain just by changing your perception. However, if you're not changing your position in space, if you're not changing your daily activity, if you're doing the same thing, you're getting up at the same time, you're going to the same place, you're watching the same TV shows, you're eating the same food, you're going to get the same results. Okay, this is why a change of environment is vital. When people come here from all around the world, in order to change their depression and anxiety, or their spine, or how their brain functions, or their tissue regenerates, go for the beach, go and walk on the beach on the hard sand. Now, why do we tell them to do that? Why? Because it's going to give a different sensory input into the brain. The sunlight has ionizing radiation, so there's more oxygen on the beach. It's a massive different sensory input because there's not stereo and radio and TV and electric lights and EMF radiation down there. It's just the ocean, water, and sand. Okay, and this type of sensory input has a massive, massive effect on serotonin levels, on dopamine levels. I mean, incredible. And that's what the frustrating thing is. This is not a medical condition. It's an expression of what these people are going through. And one of the ways to solve it is to change their input into the brain. You can literally rewire it. And we're going to bring up different things like the Journal of the American Medical Association now saying that most of the practices that the medical doctors utilize to get you checked are no longer based in science. You may have thought that a thyroid ultrasound or a computer tomography of the head or aspirin use or medications to increase HDL, you may have think that those things were based in science because the doctors are suggesting it. Well, what's interesting is they're not based in science, and it's completely false. And we're going to go over the latest data on this on the cruise. I mean, when we talk about how ductal carcinoma in situ, DCIS, is no longer considered cancer. That means 1.3 million women were under the impression that their doctor was giving them good advice about cancer, and it turns out it's not good advice. You know, if we talk about how many men were misdiagnosed with high-grade prostatic intraepithelial neoplasms, you know, that is no longer considered prostate cancer. I mean, these kind of things people got to know. When you look at disease as an expression of your environmental stimulus, you don't earn it through bad luck or bad genes. You're expressing a disease. You really are. We're going to go over adrenal fatigue. We're going to go over thyroid function. We're going to go over all of this. And then you're going to get Dr. Priscilla's input on thyroid function and cancer. You're going to get Jaya's perspective on relationships and emotions and how the thyroid pituitary axis is. And you're going to find out, I mean, literally how this ties into everything. I mean, and this is the state of the future. When we're talking about just touching animals, and this was out of the Journal of Scientific Exploration, one of the things that they did, they gave mice this injection that they were guaranteed to die. All they did was hold the mouse. They didn't do anything, they didn't have to think positive thoughts or anything else, and they had a total reversal of the cancers. 100% of the mice lived when 100% should have died. And why? How does that work? Well, first, the mice were poisoned and they were going to die, but they just changed the environment for a short period of time. Now, I'm not saying going on a cruise for a week, changing your environment for a short period of time will reverse cancer, but it did in the mice. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, you know, and if you can't go on the cruise, go for a walk. Go for a weekend away. pack up a tent. They have a heat wave in Rochester now. Okay, it's not even snowing in Toronto. Okay, it's wintertime. Take advantage of global warming. Go out, go camping, get a jacket. Okay, you know, I mean, this is where we're going to be going. And if you look at the silhouette, okay, just Google celebrity cruise line silhouette. And now, when we were on the Reflections last year, they have a thing on the boat that how the boat's made. Because I'm wondering, I mean, you're looking at, you know, 10 stories above the water. I'm thinking the top of the boat would be rocking like this. It's nothing. I mean, in a big storm we were in, the glass of champagne wasn't even moving. Okay, it was actually what I was having was, it's called an Arnold Palmer, it's iced tea and lemonade. But you know, you can't say I was having an Arnold Palmer on the boat. You know, it doesn't have that romantic feel, okay? Okay, but my iced tea wasn't moving either. So definitely. Now get on Owner's Dash Guide /cruise 2016, and I'll see you there. First 20 people, we're going to hang out a lot. But even if you're not the first 20 people, we're still going to be hanging out. Okay, thank you very much. See you there.